My name is Tim Jefferies. I'm the owner of Hamilton's Gallery. I'm here with Mario Testino for a second iteration, a second visit to Mario's beautiful world. This exhibition is called South Americana, and Mario takes us on a wonderful tour of the vaqueros in Colombia, where we see these extraordinary horsemen showing their skills against a gorgeous honey and rainbow-colored sunrise.
Hi, Tim. Thanks so much for your introduction. It is true that I embarked 3 years ago on this project called A Beautiful World, where I realized that the world becoming globalized by everybody wanting to look the same, be the same, do the same things, own the same things. We were forgetting elements of our culture that were really identifying points of each civilization, each country. How do we really describe what Peru is all about, or what China can be all about, or what Germany can be all about?
In the middle gallery, we are showing a second component of this exhibition, cacti, which have been taken from their natural environment in a parched desert environment and isolated against beautiful colored backgrounds and given a personality which you would otherwise never feel a simple, rough, spiky plant could possibly have. This is, as I said, the second iteration to Mario's Beautiful World. A beautiful world is an enormous umbrella that encompasses Mario's change of direction, moving away from fashion photography, from magazine editors, art directors. Mario now has embarked on an odyssey of discovery around the world to photograph what it is he wishes to photograph and how he wishes to photograph those things.
Coming from the fashion world where everything is associated in a way to commerce, I wanted to go and look elsewhere. As the world has been attacked by this COVID virus, and we've been seen ourselves having to look for different places to be. The idea of space became very important because we were confined in our homes, and people looked for places where they can have more space than just four walls. And following this, I started looking at these images of the vaqueros in Colombia, because these are taken in the sunrise at 4 o'clock in the morning. I think I started photographing, where it's really black, and slightly you start getting the light coming out and the colors beaming behind them. But the most amazing thing of this is that these vaqueros have space to move, space to gallop. It's almost like their horizons are open and there's no limit to it. At the same time, when I started working on the cacti, I realized that they secure their space by their spikes. Their spikes sort of make it impossible for other species or other, be it plants or animals or humans, come too close to them. They determine their space thanks to their spikes. And I was quite excited by this idea of being always secured by a certain distance. We were told during the pandemic that social distancing was imperative, and these cacti seem to have understood this a lot earlier than us. The interesting thing about doing this cacti for me was that I worked with a gentleman that owns a nursery in Sicily that has the greatest variety of them. And when we started photographing them and we decided to put them as couples, he said to me that he had always looked at them in a way where some of them feel masculine and some of them feel feminine. It's something that can actually be interchanged. But he said to me that he was very excited by this idea of coupling them, so it could be the younger male with the older female, the thinner male with the rounder female, or vice versa. And it reminded me a lot when in the 90s starting to do advertisement for clients like Gucci and Missoni and Trussardi, I immediately wanted to always put a man next to a woman. But I actually wanted to get away from posing and fakeness and bring it to real life. And so I started bringing men into my pictures. It was a time when not all clients had clothes for guys, they were concentrating on women. So sometimes they had to make the clothes so that I could have a guy with the girl. But I thought it was so funny that yet again, when I embark on a new project, this idea of male and female together and what happens with the energy of the two together was coming back to me from a completely other side, not through commerce, not through a physical sensual relationship, but really just as identifying shapes and forms.
I love the reference to COVID and the cowboys being free with an infinite horizon, and the cacti, the opposite, being isolated and fearing any kind of approach. I think it's beautiful. I hadn't.
You hadn't thought of it.
Well, we hadn't discussed it before
in that way, yeah.
And I think it gives an additional, very deep resonance to both bodies of work. Would you agree that A Beautiful World, this current obsession and project, which I feel, and correct me if I'm wrong, will go on and on for many, many years to come. The world is a very big place, and there's an inexhaustible supply of things, people, places for you to photograph. Would you say that A Beautiful World has given you an ultimate form of freedom, or perhaps a freedom that you never really enjoyed as a fashion photographer?
But it's interesting, really. I think I had a lot of freedom in the fashion world, but that freedom, the more you go into commerce, that freedom gets taken away. Maybe in the early 90s, I would go on a job with a designer, me, the stylist, the hairdresser, makeup artist, and the model. In 2018, I was going with a designer, social media communicator, the store communicator, the behind-the-scenes person, the product person. You know, all of a sudden, it wasn't just the designer giving me his opinion. I had to listen to 8 people before I even started shooting. You know,
your creativity is clipped.
Totally.
And the opposite happens with A Beautiful World. Your creativity can run wild.
Then the other thing that has always been an element in my life, I've always wanted my everyday to be a surprise. I always want to be excited by something new happening that I don't know. And I have to say that in this new world that I'm doing, this project, A Beautiful World, every day is a surprise again. And the truth of the matter is that I entered into this project without really knowing what I'm doing, and slowly it seems to be becoming more and more clear.
I mean, it will continue to evolve into what's going to be your greatest opus, I'm sure. And I'm thrilled that you've chosen to give us the opportunity. Thank you for the second exhibition. I think...
Thank you. I'm so flattered by being able to be in your space, because maybe not everybody knows it, but when I was a young photographer, I used to come here to look at what the world had to offer. And to be a part of that today, it's pretty incredible.